Late at night in a quiet hospital room, Suzune Hiragi receives a strange email. It's from her own doctor, Amagasa-sensei. The subject: a link to something called D-Game. He claims it's just a fun game about Darwin, but we know better. Suzune is skeptical. She was looking for an illegal gambling ring, not a mobile app. But since it came from her doctor, she thinks, why not? She clicks the link, and the Darwin's Game icon flickers to life on her screen. Suddenly, the screen explodes with light. A digital snake lunges out of the phone, sinking its fangs directly into Suzune's neck. In an instant, the trap is set. The game has chosen its next victim. Suzune gasps, clutching her neck. Was it a hallucination? A glitch? A terrifying warning appears on her screen. If you decide to join, there is no guarantee for your life. But the choice has already been made. The app is already running. It has her name, her photo, and her location, all without her entering a single byte of data. It's pulled her identity straight from her phone. Terrified, she hopes her friend Rain can explain what's happening. The silence of the hospital is broken by the rhythmic click-clack of heels in the hallway. Someone is approaching her room. Suzune freezes, praying it's just a nurse on her nightly rounds. The door creaks open. It's Dr. Amagasa. But there's something off. His shadow looms large, and his smile doesn't reach his eyes. He asks, "You're awake, aren't you?" with a tone that sends chills down her spine. Suzune tries to play it cool, showing him the app. She tells him it's not what she was looking for. She wanted something real. She has no idea she's talking to the very person who just threw her into the lion's den. The doctor's face twists into a sadistic grin. He holds up his own phone, revealing the truth. It is a survival game, for the real world. The notification flashes. Encountering battle is open. The hunter has cornered his prey in her own hospital bed. The reality sets in like a cold blade. Dr. Amagasa isn't here to check her vitals. He's here to take her life. He explains the rules. They are in a duel. In Darwin's Game, your doctor can become your executioner in the blink of an eye. But the rules of this game are absolute. If you leak information to the outside world, the management will find you and execute you. Suzune realizes with a sinking heart that she's made a fatal mistake by snooping into her father's past. Suzune tries to find a shred of humanity left in the woman. Is it money? Is that why she plays? The doctor's response is hauntingly calm. Money is just money. It isn't worth risking your life over. And then, the mask completely slips. We see the face of a true psychopath. The doctor reveals her twisted philosophy. Life only truly radiates when it's fending off death. To her, killing isn't a crime. It's more stimulating than saving lives. She expresses her disgust for the Sunset Ravens and their new rules. Then, in a terrifying display of power, an empty syringe in her hand begins to fill with fluid out of thin air. This is her sigil, Asclepius. She can synthesize any chemical substance from nothing. She offers Suzune two doors: a painless beautiful death via a propofol cocktail, or a desperate, unsightly struggle that ends in her demise anyway. Suzune is backed into a corner, but her survival instinct kicks in. She isn't a killer, and she isn't a fighter, but she refuses to be a victim. She lunges for the emergency call button, choosing to fight for her life. As Suzune screams for help, the doctor's excitement only grows. This is the thrill she's been hunting for. The Darwin's Game she's been waiting for has finally begun in these sterile hospital halls. Suzune sprints toward the nurse's station, desperate for a savior. But when she arrives, she finds the staff standing like statues. They're alive, but their minds are completely gone.
The doctor explains the horrifying mechanic of the game. When a match starts, everyone in the vicinity has their consciousness phased out. In this isolated hospital, there is no help coming. Suzune tries to dial the police, but she's already trapped in a nightmare with no escape.
Zero signal. No emergency calls. No way out. The hospital has become a digital tomb, and Suzune is trapped inside with a predator who's just warming up. The doctor explains the game field, a localized blackout where the outside world ceases to exist. Suzune doesn't wait for the lecture to end. She bolts, fueled by pure, raw adrenaline. The game of tag is over. Amagai lunges with a lethal syringe, ready to end it. Sway barely has time to breathe as the doctor's predatory instinct takes over. But just as the end nears, a flash of light changes everything. Hellfire erupts in the narrow corridor. A wall of heat slams into Sui, forcing her back. She's confused, terrified. Why is the hallway suddenly an oven? The battlefield has just become a crematorium. The sprinklers are useless. This isn't a normal fire. It's a chemical nightmare, handmade napalm. Amagai watches with a sick grin, explaining the science of her demise. If that blast had hit her directly, Sui wouldn't even be ashes by now. Trapped between the flames and a madman, Sui finds her resolve. "Don't take me lightly," she growls. She's lived with the shadow of death for years. If she can't run, she'll fight. But Amagai is wary. He knows her sigil is the real wild card. She charges. Using a hidden pen as a makeshift dagger, Sui thrusts forward with everything she has. It's a gamble, a move of pure survival against a man who treats murder like a clinical trial. But the gap in experience is massive. With a sickening thud, Amagai counters. He slams her into the concrete, the pen skittering away uselessly. The counterattack is effortless, leaving Sui broken on the floor. Amagai is disappointed. He expected a supernatural sigil, not a plastic pen. Sui lies in the dark, her strength fading, whispering a final prayer to her father for power. She's searching for a miracle in a place where only monsters live. Then, it happens. A violent surge. Her heart hammers against her ribs like a trapped animal. Sui collapses, gasping for air as her very biology begins to scream. The end begins not with a bang, but with a cold, clinical silence. Suzun's life is being snuffed out by the very person she should have been able to trust. "I'll put you to peace now," she says, "but this isn't peace. It's an execution." The light fades. Cardiac arrest. Respiratory arrest. The pupils dilate, losing their grip on the world. Confirmed dead. In an instant, Suzun is cast into the bottomless void of the afterimage, drifting away from everything she knew. But then, the darkness shatters. Suddenly, there is light. The scent of roses. The sound of shears. We transition from a cold lab to a sun-drenched garden. Is this heaven? Or something much more dangerous? Suzun opens her eyes to a dream. Her father stands there, smiling as if the tragedy of the real world never happened. For the first time in forever, she is home. She is safe. But why does it feel like a lie? The soul remembers what the mind tries to forget. Suzun finds herself weeping, even though she's surrounded by beauty. Her father calls it nothing, urging her to stay in this perfect loop, to be his one and only daughter forever. A perfect afternoon. Lunch with family. The sun is warm. But a visitor appears at the gate. Rain-chan. A ghost from the reality Suzun just left behind. Rain-chan doesn't come to play. She comes to bid farewell. She asks the one question that can destroy a paradise: "Are you happy right now?" The illusion begins to crack. Rain-chan, the voice of Suzun's own subconscious, is leaving. Why? Because the truth isn't in this garden. And without the truth, this isn't a life, it's a cage. The internal war erupts. One side of her heart screams to stay in the happy lie, but the other, it's clawing at her chest. It demands to know. It demands to feel the pain of the real world over the comfort of a dream. The choice is made. Suzun turns her back on the garden. Her father, realizing he can no longer hold her, hands her a red gerbera. Its meaning: keep on going. Suzun is heading back to the nightmare, because only in the nightmare can she find the truth. A final blessing. A final goodbye. Her father's last words aren't a plea to stay, but a command to survive. Face your battles. Suzun smiles, not as a victim anymore, but as a warrior ready to reclaim her life. The dream ends here. Back in the cold reality of the lab, the silence is shattered by a spray of blood. The scientist, who thought she held all the cards, is blindsided by a strike she never saw coming. The prey is no longer lying down. Confusion turns to twisted realization. "I was sure you died," the scientist gasps. But in this world, death isn't always the end. Sometimes, it's the ultimate trigger. The heartbeat that stopped wasn't fading out. It was revving up for something inhuman. The reveal. The awakening. Suzun stands reborn, her humanity fused with a primal, predatory power. With a glowing eye and a claw that could rend steel, the dead girl has become the lab's worst nightmare. The game has just truly begun.